Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Beacon of Leadership podcast. We've got what amounts to an exciting episode tonight. First of all, I am here, RJ Horner, Beacon of Life and Leadership, along with my team.
Curtis Leong, Beacon of Positivity,
who is mobile today, and we have
Linda Tilson, Beacon of Team Empowerment.
And we're also joined by another beacon of leadership. Suzanne, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Suzanne Plumley, and I am the beacon of enriched Asbury women's lifestyle.
Wonderful. Thank you. And yeah, so today we're going to start to introduce some of the exciting things that we're working on here in the community. We wanted to build up our engagement and not only let people know what's going on in our community, but what we're working on is about collaboration. It's about working together. In fact, our next event coming up, is called Begin Working Together. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about how we, as a community, can serve the people out there. That's part of what Beacon is being a beacon is all about, is how we can help people out there. Yes, we have our expertise or our avenues that we exemplify service in, but we want to be able to serve the community out there. And so we had an open invite for people to come and join us, and that invite is still open. So if people see this out there, in fact, I will do what I can to post the link and see if people can come join us, because we want to know what you're doing. What are your exciting projects? We've got several of our beacons who are working on some amazing initiatives. And Suzanne has been great enough to come and tell us what she is so excited about. She's got some news she's chomping at the bit to tell us about. Suzanne, what is your exciting news you've got to share with us?
You know what it's like when you have someone that you really they've made such an impact in your world that you just are so excited when they happen to pick up the phone and call you directly. I had a call from Mary Morrissey this week, and she asked me if she could read my letter that I wrote to her last night in class. And oh my gosh, this is not a phone call that she makes regularly. Usually it's her secretary or someone in the Brave Thinking Institute, but I must have made an impression on what I'm doing with my life in the 5 years since I met her, to have her pick up the phone herself personally and take the time. Now, I know she does that with her higher clients, but I must be part of the higher clients now, because for her to pick up the call. Now, 2 weeks ago, I told you about the fact that she honored me in my gift, in my win. And then for her to call me up and say that, ask me personally if she could share the letter, the thank you, gratitude letter I wrote to her. Oh my gosh, what a thrill that was. And I was so excited. And she's like, can I share it? I'm like, well, I'd be honored. And so she said some more nice things about me, but it was one of those letters where I thought she needed to know where she may have made a big impact on my life. And Mary Morrissey is still humble to this day. She doesn't take all the credit. However, she was the very first person I met in the Institute who showed me my new light, my new beacon of light.
And I love that you put it that way. And so for people who don't know out there, if you're stuck under a rock somewhere, Mary Morrissey is the founder of Brave Thinking Institute, who is changing the world for many coaches or would-be coaches. She signs them up, gives them their coaching certificate, and sends them off to become brave new people who are going out there to change the world. Much what we're starting to do here in this community. But Mary Morrissey is, a close personal friend of the former Bob Proctor. And you know what? That caliber of teacher. She in fact, I embraced my spirituality, came back to God through much what she referred to as God being the grand overall design. Some of the messages she has just help people open up and realize their potential on such an extraordinary level. So you got her attention directly, and I can see what that's doing to you.
Yes, it is. I mean, I felt it should be honored to her to know what she was helping being able to accomplish in 5 years. And she's like, I didn't help you accomplish anything but to uncover what you already had in you. I said, however, and this is why I wrote the letter to her. We talk about, excuse me, even in here, we talk about all that time we spent preparing and everything. We're thinking that nobody's listening. And this might be a great testimony to tonight. And I find this even in my coaching. People are listening. They just haven't found their voices yet to speak. And I think that that's the same thing everywhere. Is everybody's busy, but if something's of value, it's good. And I told her at the beginning of the letter, we go into feeling like we're talking to the walls, but we never know who we're going to touch. And that's how she got me. Back in February of 2018, I had just been fired as a substitute teacher for wrongful termination. A little boy went home from school and told his mother, who was stuck on her cell phone, that I hit him because that was the only way that he was gonna get her attention. The stress of being fired from the career I thought I was going to be living in caused me to have a major accident. You know this story. I told this story. And then saying to God, what's next? He puts Mary Morrissey on a podcast. And she's thinking that she may or may not be thinking that nobody was listening. But I told her tonight, no, I was listening. And look at what you've done for me.
Yeah, and I will say Mary Morrissey has a voice, and people listen to her. You know what? I know I've experienced many of her seminars, her recordings of seminars. So I know she attracts an audience, and really that's what we're trying to do here, right? We're trying to, like you say, make it seem like we're doing more than talking to the wall. And that was why we had an open invitation tonight. And Suzanne, I know you were listening. I know you hear our voice. But we're trying to do what we can to let everybody hear the voice out there and let people know all the spectacular things that we're doing, like on our own, as well as what we do collectively, right? So we're trying to share that voice and share that message, and not only for ourselves, but like I said, it's for a larger community than ourselves. Our mission is to help build leaders. We want those people who are, like you say, they haven't found their voice yet. We want them to come out and share their voice and share their message and their mission. Because look, the world now more than ever needs those leaders, right? We need people to step up and guide others in a direction that's going to help change the world for the better, help make this world a better place.
And you two, and you three, I should say, excuse me, you three are wonderful. And one of the things I had said was that if I can do it, I don't consider myself a consolation, but people still consider the fact that Aspies may be disabled. We're not. Want to put it in there. We're not disabled. We're different abled. But people still are like, wow, if she can do it, I can do it. And that's why it's so important for me to be part of your team is, look, I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. And there are so many coaches looking for outlets to talk. This is the perfect organization to get involved in. We're very intimate and we can really have some awesome conversations. And let's just grow those conversations because they're going to be powerful.
Absolutely. Just so, just by being open enough to talk about your ailments, your issues, your growth journey, it helps other people out there. And we'll get into what everybody else is working on here as well, because we're doing our own things as well as combining to create other things. One of the things I love is, Curtis, you have been for a while now creating content every single, well, not every single morning. You've had to back off because of time constraints, but that's what started it, right? You were on a mission to produce content every single morning, and now you produce on a regular basis. Tell people about it, and what is it that you're sending out there into the world?
Basically, I wrote a book on positivity, and I want to make sure people are able to listen to positive articles that I curate. So I did a few video challenges that have basically helped me stay consistent with doing it. I did a 99-day challenge, which I ended up doing 450 days of. So that was kind of cool. And then, then after that, I just kept on going. My videos are usually me reading something. I've started a podcast, and that is doing better than my lives. So obviously, I guess maybe podcast things are good. Right, RJ?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I enjoy listening to them quite often. I think it's some amazing work. It's some inspiration for people. And you put it out there first thing in the morning. So you know what? That's the thing. So whether you're on the way to work or whatever, people can tune into this and take some inspiration on that drive to work, which can often be quite stressful for a lot of people.
Yep, 5:40 is when I do it. A lot of replays usually pop up throughout the day too, so that's always nice to see. A few comments, whatnot.
Absolutely. So that's what Curtis does, is he wants to help people change their mindset, help make them a little bit happier, and through that make them a little bit healthier and a little more sane and a little bit able to enjoy life.
I can so relate to that as I send people off with their morning coffee every day. And, I think I had a number of customers that started off being very blasé. And when they started getting a hold of my personality, they've come around too. And there's nothing better than seeing people who used to be like, oh, it's morning. Because to get my face in the window, or even on the telecounter, the speaker, good morning, welcome to Starbucks. It just kind of changes your whole mentality. And that's the same thing that Curtis and I do together. We're a dynamic team. He's doing it on podcast and on video, and I'm doing it face to face. I mean, how else can you start your morning if you don't have positivity right there to send out the ripple effect?
Absolutely. It certainly guides the rest of your day. Look, I'm a bus driver, and that's when I first started, before I got angry and frustrated with life. When I first started as a bus driver, that was my mission. I said, you know what? I keep my bus enjoyable. I welcome everybody with a smile and send them off, to have a great day. That was my mission as a bus driver, right? Because I know there were a lot of people who show up miserable in the morning. They're not enjoying going to their job. They don't like the fact that they have to get up at 4:30 in the morning and go off and, spend 8 hours making a living for somebody else so that they can pay their bills. You know what I mean? That's no life for most people. It's because also they're not doing something they enjoy. And that's kind of the mission here, right? Is to find your avenue, to find out where you can serve well and go out there and do it. Go out there and just make yourself happy by doing what you love, and then go out there and serve other people and watch the joy that it brings you doing, something you enjoy to help other people become better. And then Linda, go ahead, Suzanne.
No, I just said absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what life's all about. And too many of us can't find that. So that's what this is all about. Collaboration is finding that thing you do well. Linda, you do some amazing things well. We monikered you with the beacon of team empowerment, but that's only a small portion of what you do. What you also do is you help bring out people with their abilities. You know what I mean? You challenge them to take the next step. You help find their gifts and you help bring that to the world. So tell people a little bit about some of the things you do, and we'll talk about one thing that you and I are doing together. It's your project, but we're doing it together, and I'm very proud of that too.
So really, you're right. The beacon of team empowerment is only the umbrella. Underneath that, there's a core theme that will show up time and time again. And I create spaces for people to bring their talents and gifts to life. So Suzanne was talking about how she had a coach in her presence that gave her a space, saw her in her power, and really, worked alongside her to move through her. So that way, Suzanne at some point could feel like she was ready and able to bring her gifts to life. Because, most people will say, I'm not ready yet. There's other people out there that are better than me. And really, I say, why are you going to limit yourself? And so when I see those things come up, even if it's in myself, I definitely tell people, let's create the space. So let's create a course and teach it. Let's go and create a podcast. Let's, open up and share our thoughts. All of these things happen, and RJ is right. I do that in a number of spaces. I do it as an accounting manager for state government. I have a podcast where I mentor an individual. I have another podcast that I started out of my, my love of helping men open up. And it's not because they aren't as gifted at it. It's not because they don't know how. It's because I'm creating the space for it to occur. Because I was invited into this space on several times over to, come in and host a podcast or to lead a facilitated group discussion. Because that's what we do. I create the space for people to open up, to shine, to get confidence. And so I do that in so many ways. And really the team part is because I prefer to be a collaborative contributor on a team. I don't like being a solopreneur. I don't want to be the leader of one. I see where we can go and we can collaborate together, unite our talents, unite our gifts, teach one another. And so it's a giving and receiving. It's an exchange. And that's why I get so excited about teams. And I've been told before, Linda, why are you doing teamwork when you could go off and lead your own things? And I said, because I don't enjoy it in the same way. I feel empowered and inspired when I'm in a team setting. And I don't do that as a single person, and I don't ever want to. And I'm sticking with my story.
Yeah, and I just listened to Bob Proctor this morning. I listened to this program over and over again, as You Were Born Rich. That was one of his main staple programs, and so I listened to it all the time. And again, this morning, I just could, how they say you listen to something over and over again, and you take a different message each time, right? Mm-hmm. So I was listening to it this morning, and the message I heard this morning, because we're talking about Mary Morrissey, we're talking about Bob Proctor, we're talking about other big coaches who have this reputation, right? That we're supposed to look up to, that we're supposed to, oh my God, there's Mary Morrissey. I can't believe I'm connected to her. But you know what? You are just as good as them. You are just as talented as them. Just like you drawing all those talent up. Why not you? Why can't you do this? Why do you have to be afraid and say, well, no, that's not for me? And that's what we do, right? Quite often when an opportunity has presented itself in front of us, you're like, oh no, I can't do that. I'm not ready for something like that. But you are ready. You just don't know. You're not aware of how to do it. You don't know what you don't know, right? You don't know that I can do this. I just don't know the technique. Wasn't taught how to do this. I don't know how to step into that. But if you find you just step towards it, and that's why you challenge people this way, Linda, right? Just look, let's go do this. See what we can do to make this happen. That's what this community is all about, right? Like you said, you're not a solopreneur. Don't believe in doing it yourself. I don't believe, and that's why I'm a beacon of life and leadership. I inspire people to take that challenge, to create, and don't do it yourself. I don't believe in that. I'm sure you can accomplish things by going alone and managing to put this business together. But look, if you have an idea, but somebody else has skills you need, or you have a skill and you see somebody with a great idea, why not collaborate and work together to create something amazing and watch what becomes of it? Excuse me, I apologize. That's how this community got started, right? Curtis and I had an idea of how to help other people. We wanted to inspire people with our stories and how we could change people's attitude, change people's mindset. And then so we decided, let's see what we can do. And we didn't know what we were doing. We really didn't. Another thing from Brian Tracy, one of his messages that changed my life forever is, what would you love to do so much you would do it for free?
Mhm.
And honestly, so let's say you have an area that you want to go serve, but you're thinking, oh, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know what to do. Go find a place to volunteer. You and I are both, Linda, involved in an organization called Voice of Men, or were. That's what got us going, was Voice of Men 360. And I give credit where credit is due, because my time with Voice of Men 360, it allowed me to serve as a board member. So I got to learn how to operate a business from the inside. It also allowed me to elaborate on my voice, to experience my voice and deliver my message through the podcast Open Up. It really allowed me to come into my own as both a speaker and a leader. So I'm very grateful for that organization. And that all became about because I went out there and said, I need to volunteer. I need to give. I can't give from my pocketbook, but I can give of myself. I can go and serve and give my time and donate that way. So, and that allowed me to expand who I was and what I've created. And now I'm creating, not just here in our community, but I'm going to help other leaders grow and collaborate and connect and create some amazing things. Just like Suzanne, she is part of our community. And I'm going to let Suzanne in a minute tell you about what she is working on, because that is an amazing project in and of itself. But that's the idea. So we are now starting to work towards collaboration here in our community. Our next event is going to be April 29th, called Begin Working Together as Leaders. So we want to invite people out to that. And we will post one in this episode, the link to get tickets to that. In fact, if we want to get to know you, if you fill out one of our surveys, you'll actually get $20 off the ticket. So the ticket becomes $7 for you to attend our next event if you fill out the Getting Acquainted survey, because we want to get to know you. What are you working on? How can we help you? Where do you need help? And we can help put that together for people. So we want to know what you're doing and what we can do to help, how we can serve you as a beacon of leadership community who are looking to collaborate with others. And there are things we need in our community. We'll talk about that at this event. But so that's what our community, and then from there, we're already planning our next event beyond that, which is going to be a collaborative, interactive workshop. So, and that's going to be in July. So we're working on some great things in our community, and we want you guys out there to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
Listen, I'm so excited, as you can tell, about all the things we're working on, and I'm excited to tell people about it. And I hope people can feel my energy, because we've been talking about it. And, you know, it's hard not to feel despondent when you're not getting the responses that you thought you would get, right? You're sending out these messages day in and day out, and people are just not taking action. So I want you guys, yeah, go ahead.
I would say that's a perfect segue for one of the topics that we're going to have during that day, that event on April 29th. I'm going to be talking to how do you write a presentation and give a powerful proposal to bring business in. Now, that is one area that a lot of us entrepreneurs struggle with, right? And really, there's a lot of simple things that you can do, that you can convey to get people to really see the value that you bring, and you put it in a way that they can't but want to come join you. And so there's ways to go about doing that. But like anything, those processes, you have to learn how to put your personal touch to the process. You develop your process of how you do it that feels great to you. And I'm going to teach people both the technical piece of how to put that together, but then the relational piece of how you bring it together when you go into those conversations and come out with that signed contract or that agreement to have a further discussion.
Absolutely. Absolutely amazing. And that is a skill. Look, I don't even possess that one. You know what I mean? I have conversations with people, and I will say I have trouble making the ask, right? Asking for that contract, asking for the money, asking for the business. But look, that's how we do it. That's how we stay in business. That's how we make this happen, right? And so that's a skill that I don't possess. So I'm looking forward to learning from you on that and how we can do that. I mean, I saw one of the proposals you put together for us already, and I was so impressed. I didn't know how to do that prior to seeing that. You know what I mean? So I was excited. So now we'll talk about the project. One of the projects that our beacons have is Suzanne. Tell people about, first of all, what are you working on? Why is it so special? Before you unlaunch, what is the actual project?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I want to go back to what you and Linda were talking
Please
about
do.
with volunteerism. My whole life, when I found that I could not get into the schools, instead of being stuck in my victimhood, I pivoted. And one of the biggest things that made a big difference to me when I was a girl was Girl Scouting. And now Girl Scouts leaders are not paid.
Yep.
But I'll tell you, I had the best experience. So you start to look back at your past and it's like all the dots, as Steve Jobs was talking about, connect. I was an enrichment after school teacher. I was a Girl Scout. I was an enrichment PTO organizer. I mean, everything's just connecting. It is so cool that we're put on this earth and we don't realize it at the time that our experiences build and build and build and build. And we think that they're individual little jobs here and there, but if you're very conscious about it, they're really not. There's a purpose, there's a lineup of what you do in your job. And if it weren't meant to be, you wouldn't have that opportunity presented to you. Like, for instance, I mean, if I was not supposed to be in enrichment, why would I be offered a Girl Scouting? Why would I be put into the path of being a Girl Scout leader who comes up with all these activities for the girls? And here again, I'm still working with girls and women, teaching them their skills. And what am I doing here? I'm working with girls and women to teach their skills. So it's a perfect segue right into my life. And now I have the added benefit of knowing who I am to further serve them. And I had a number of little girls that had different situations going on with them, and I was compassionate toward everybody. And this is the big part of humanitarianism. So bringing that in, my big incentive as being part of an ASPE and knowing that we did not receive the resources as we were going through our school years back in the 70s and the 80s when we were in school, I am creating resources for the ASPE women who never received them. Yeah, they can go to therapists now, but the therapists aren't even fully understanding how to help them. But here I am a ASPE woman, and I'm creating these resources because I know where they need help. And I'm starting to enlist all the coaches, all the professionals that are willing to become volunteers to help these women get the resources instead of them going, oh, it's really scary, going to a therapist who doesn't understand them, getting prescribed medicine that doesn't help them, getting told how to, this is one that's really scary, getting told how to tell their story so that they get disability insurance. And I understand that there's no money in the family if the woman is not able to generate enough funds. Yes, SSDI, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. SSI is disability. You don't work, or you work very little. And to see women cop out and take disability when they have the skills is the saddest thing I ever saw. Having them go to therapists who aren't helping because they've never walked the same walk is very sad. The fact that some of these women are even going as far, sadly, as suicide.
So if I can cut in for 1 second there, just because
Absolutely.
I want to touch on what you're saying there. You know what I mean? First of all, you go to therapy, which, you know what, great. Therapy is a lot more open. It's a lot more prevalent. But all the therapist usually does is create a space for you to talk about your story and maybe get it off your chest. They're not there to engage you. They're not there to empower you, which is to make it happen for you. You may be telling them of this dream that you have, that you want to do this, like your project, but they're not allowing you to do that. In fact, quite often it'll be like, well, you know, because of your condition, do you think you can manage that? Right. So they're kind of pushing you back down while they're supposed to be picking you up. And then you know, you mentioned the social assistance, and you know what? It happens. And there's nothing wrong with that. Look, when you need it, there's nothing wrong with taking advantage of social assistance. That's what it's there for. But it's always supposed to be a band-aid. It's only there for a temporary fix until things get better. And what you're doing here is taking the band-aid off when they start to heal, right? You're starting to give them a space to say, look, I love what you're doing. I love how you want to serve. Here's how we can make that happen for you. That's what it's all about, is, you know what? Here, okay, yes, you have this affliction. You are otherwise able, right? So let's see how we can use that to your advantage.
Exactly. And in my commercial that you'll see shortly, that we're going to be advertising, I tell the women that there are two avenues. They can either go into my coaching program and go into learning how to turn an interest into an income, and learning about the book study and learning about all these different things, enrichment classes, or if they want to stay in the what I call the base lodge and receive the help because they're not ready yet to go up my enrichment mountain, that's where the Bridge Builders program will come in. And I'll let me know when you want me to tell you more about that.
Look, you've set it up enough. You can tell people about this project. We're excited to let people know about it just as much as you are.
It's going to be phenomenal. I hear so many stories as I go through all my friends' lists of all the challenges they're having. And what's really saddens me is that they just want to talk about it. It's like going back to the therapist. Let's keep on rehashing our past. And I'm like, but rehashing your past is not creating your future. It's just rehashing your past. And in so many of these Facebook groups, I hear people, they're starting to get better. They're starting to ask questions of, I have a challenge with this. Do you have a challenge with this? So at least we're coming a little bit closer to it. But there's every so often, there will be one or two women who say, I have no friends. My life is terrible. And I'm like, I'm here. So the Bridge Builder program is to help them come out of their shell, realize what their problem is. One of Mary Morrissey's main things is notice what you're noticing. What are you having trouble doing when you get out of bed in the morning? Are you having trouble getting out of the bed because you're not motivated? Let me help you find the resources through the coaches who can help you set up a positivity morning. Here comes Curtis, putting in a positivity morning, coming up with a gratitude, coming up with okay, this is what I want to be. Sometimes it's hard to get out of bed. I get it. I get out of bed at 3:45 every morning. I understand. Putting that first foot on the floor is the hardest of all. However, once you do, and I'll tell you my secret. Who wants to know my secret? You know what I do, and I recommend this to everybody. It doesn't matter if you ask me or not. Get the Greatest Showman soundtrack. Put it in your car. I go to work at 4:00 every morning playing The Greatest Showman, which is all about creating your dreams. All the songs that are in it, and I'm singing. By the time I get to work, I am so fired up because, and there's a song for everyone. Come Alive. It's all about waking up to your dreams. Stop walking like you're a zombie in your life. And then This Is Me is something that's very close to my heart as a NASP woman, which is I'm no longer going to let the names and the words hurt me. I'm going to send out a flood. And this is where I got my speech from BTI, Great Thinking Institute. It's like, I am the torch barrier. I am going to lead these women up the bridge so that they can finally work and play among all of their society and feel accepted, because that's where it's needed. These women need to know they're accepted. They're stuck in victimhood.
Oh, I love that. And I love to use the term referring to beacon is that torchbearer. You know what I mean? Lighting the path for others. That's really what we do here. We're shining examples, and your torchbearer program is very much one of those things that are help leading the way for other people. So tell people how this program is designed to work.
Okay, so what I have planned to do is there are 2 islands, as I had mentioned before, where there are a lot of neurodivergent, which isn't just Asperger's or autism. It's also Down syndrome. It's some of the other challenges that individuals have with neurological differences. And we're all stuck on one side of the bridge because we don't feel like we're supported. I'm here with a torch to help them walk up to the bridge. Meanwhile, I have coaches and I have anyone who's interested who feels like they have such a strong ability with a area of their life, such as finances or family connection or school help or lasting relationships, you name it. There are so many different opportunities. Technology. What I want to do is I want to have the coaches and the professionals meet me at the top of the bridge so we can pair off these women problem by problem, challenge by challenge, to get them back into society. I want to mend that bridge so that it's no longer 2 separate islands. I want to get the coaches to help take them along and say, come on, you're worthy, let's go. You have skills, let's go. Stop feeling stuck over there because the bridge is now built.
And the best part is there are many people on this island, right, who are they have experience with this. They have family members. They have, people who they work with. They know their, brother, uncle, niece. There's somebody they know who has this. So it is a personal thing for them. They want to see these people do well. So why not support other people to walk in this path? You and one of the things about a beacon and guide is they've been there. They know what it's like. And you are exactly that. You have crossed that bridge and you are here with mainstream society, living, functioning, performing, and excelling on this island. So
I have
all the more
friends.
reason.
Yeah, I have friends that a lot of these women say that they don't have. I have people who support me, and they have every right to it too. They're just as worthy as I am of having all the wonderful people that are out there. And it's like you just have to make that first decision to cross the bridge. But that's where it starts. You have to make the decision to cross the bridge. If you're going to stay stuck in the woods and expect these coaches to come all the way over to the other side of the bridge and get you, no, that's not going to work because you just keep going back over. We need to have you as the neurodivergence, specifically Asperger's and autism level 1 and 2, who are capable of having a functional, if not semi-functional life, at least try to get into a portion of society where they can thrive. There's so many jobs out there that they can find their sweet spot. Why stay sad and lonely and victimized on the other side of the bridge when I can help you get up to the top and over into society?
And I think one of the other things, and maybe Linda would be a good person to help support this as well, is, Aspie people, women, men, and even autistic people, they have gifts. They're quite often very creative. They're artistic and in tune with music. They love music quite often, right? So they have gifts. And if we could just figure out or help people to get them to figure out what that sweet spot is that you mentioned, what are their gifts that they can serve, and now not just function in society, but be respected and revered
Yes.
in society, right? What was that movie we talked about? The one where the autistic woman who created the
Oh, Temple Grandin.
Temple Grandin. You know what I mean? Here's a woman who took her symptoms and used it for a special gift. She created the, what do you call it? The
It's the cattle.
yeah, where
I'm
where
trying
we
to
where it's a
just trying to-
humane way to let's face it, kill our cattle so that we
Yes.
can consume our beef, right? We're
Yeah.
we're beef eaters. It's a normal thing. So she was involved in as a rancher, but she was watching these cattle being treated inhumanely and killed off and destroyed, and she created this system to help make it more humane of a
Make it more
system.
humane. That's exactly what I had said in my blog that I do on my Aspie page, my Enriching the Aspie Woman's Lifestyle. I do a blog every day to try and help people understand what the life is like, so that when I do have bridge builders in that particular Facebook page, that's my business page, I put out my experiences so that everybody understands, with the idea being that I have both Aspie women and I have bridge builders in the same program. Oh, this is what it's like to be an Aspie. I got that. I've seen my cousin do that too. Really, I didn't even realize that my sister, that I can help my sister. Now, the one thing you got to be careful with if you are bridge builders, don't jump quickly into assuming that someone is Aspie, and that's very important. Becoming an Aspie is kind of like accepting who you are. It's an identity. And if people aren't ready to accept that they're autistic, it's going to be painful for them.
Mhm.
I mean, it took me 50 years to find out, and by the time I found out, I was euphoric. But imagine a poor 35-year-old woman who's not quite ready to hear that, or a 22-year-old woman. I work with a few, and I wouldn't dare say to them, yeah, you're just like me, you're Aspie too. I mean, it doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
It just doesn't work. You've got to be ready to accept your identity when you're ready to accept it. So one big thing is I don't want bridge builders to say, oh my gosh, my sister's just like that. She should become an Aspie too. No, you don't become an Aspie. You emerge into your understanding of who you are. And if you happen to be Aspie, I welcome you, but I don't want anyone forced into the program. They have to be willing to accept it. You can take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, look,
You can tell them. Yeah, go ahead.
and I'll put it another way is, look, you know what? Curtis and I both coming from a place of anger and hatred. Look, I can tell you now, I was an a-hole, right? But don't go calling somebody an a-hole just because you see they're being ignorant, right? It's the exact same thing. Don't go calling somebody an Aspie or an autistic just because you see their symptoms,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because you
have
don't
to-
know how it's going to affect them.
No, I have a young man who's about 22 that I work with, and I know he is, but he's decided that he's transgender. That's his choice. That's his business. It's not my business. I know he is. I see he is. But until he's ready to embrace that, it's not going to do me any good to tell him. And that's a big thing is you're here as bridge builders to help those in your family that have already accepted their identity. Not to push someone in your family to getting a diagnosis. They have to come to it on their own. It's not something that you can just pin on someone. That's where labels become dangerous. When a person accepts their identity, it's no longer a label. When you put a label on someone else, that's when it's dangerous.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can only guide people by your experience, right? I've experienced this. And look, if you recognize some of the symptoms,
Yeah.
maybe you can do something to change your ways or change your behaviors or your attitudes. But I can't force somebody to say, well, look, if you're doing some of the things that I was doing, well, then you're an a-hole, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, you can't do that. You have to let people open their own eyes, make their own decisions, and make their own action steps, right? And look, I can
Right.
provide the example. Here's how I walked out of it. I sought counseling. I gave up fighting. I, decided to change my ways. I started reading all I could. These are some of the things that I did to walk my path forward. That's all I can do for people.
Yeah.
I can't say you have to do this, you have to do that. And if you don't do this, well, nothing, you're not going to experience any change. You have to let people walk their own path. And all we can do is just offer them some assistance along the way.
Yeah, and that goes back to we were talking during that last meeting that we had. And I said, ask a question. I think it was Curtis who said, how do you get into social circumstance situations? How does an Aspie woman go into by asking questions? And the same things about the Bush Brothers. How do you feel about noise? Does noise bother you? How do you feel about your audio processing? Would you like to be in a quiet room? Just asking questions, you can start to draw the person out a little bit better. Oh, I understand. Would you like a quieter room? Asking questions is the key to human development from this time forward. Stop telling people, start asking questions. And then you will find that the conversations open up. You come at them, they're going to be defensive and they're going to put up that wall. You start pulling them in to welcoming them into your understanding, into your compassion, they're going to be opening up. And I go back to my original plan before I even knew I was Aspie. For the first year of my coaching, I was into positive supportive language and working with people on how to talk to each other, because that was something I felt was kind of missing in my life, was I wasn't being respected through language, and I wanted people to feel respected through language. So I just brought it right along with me into the Aspie world. Yes, we want to be respected in language. We don't want people attacking us. We don't want people telling us that we're disabled.
Yep. And Dr. Phil says we teach people how to treat us, right? And that's really what it boils down to. But it's also comes across in the way you display. You know what I mean? If you talk short with people, if you come across as a victim all the time and say, well, why me, and why this always happens to me, like these kind of things will demonstrate to people how you want to be treated. But if you, like yourself, you go, well, no, look, and now you take a second to explain yourself and set people straight, and this is how I want to be talked to, this is the language I want to use with you. I love it. That's a great way to we teach people how to treat us. And one of the steps in my book, in fact, the last step in my book, 10 Steps to Achieve Any Outcome You Desire, is asking. That's the key to it all. And look, I've said it already here. I'm not that good at it. My problem is I always think about what's in it for me, and not for me. I think about it when the person I'm going to ask, that's what they want to know, is what's in it for me. So unless I can provide that, I hesitate to ask. But I listen to audios all the time. Mark Victor Hansen of Chicken Soup for the Soul says, become a master asker. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask away, because you don't know what you're going to get from delivering a question, right? To ask and you shall receive.
Asking takes away all the offensive behavior. It takes, when you ask a question, someone does not feel like they have to be defensive.
Yes.
It takes
And
away
so
all the competition, all the combativeness.
it takes away the blind spots too. So I just came up with an expression as we were saying this, is asking takes away the masking. In other words, the masking tape is white. We can't see through it. We don't know what's underneath that masking tape. Asking takes away the masking. By asking, you're going to get that person's response, not your canned idea or representation of how it should be. You're going to get it direct from the source.
Yeah, you definitely are.
So, guys, we got to start to end this. This has been an amazing discussion, but we got to kind of start to end it, or we got to start to get to our purpose, which is to let people know about the amazing things we've got coming. By the way, Suzanne, thank you for again bringing your program to us and talking about it, because I can't wait to see what becomes of it. There's some amazing things coming in our community, and we want to help draw that out. So our next event, April 29th, we're going to host Begin Working Together as Leaders. And so I myself will be talking about your potential for greatness. Again, I want to draw that out of people. What can you do? How can you be of service? How can you add value to people's lives? What is your beacon ship? What is it you do so well that you would do it for free? And what is it that you find people are drawn to you for? These are your gifts. These are your talents. And if you can begin to serve in this area, you're going to achieve greatness. You have that potential. And Curtis, you're going to try, what are you talking about on April 29th? What is your message for people out there?
Positive mindset, just how to build it, maintain it, and then how to, like, if you're just like behind on stuff, how to catch up with it. Because a lot of times people feel they're struggling and that they're actually not. And just give a different perspective on their life and how they can actually be a better person or a better individual. Who knows what can happen, right? The possibilities are there for everybody. Just a matter of like just getting it done and taking action.
And see, I'm going to start talking about potential, and then Curtis will come in with mindset and how to believe in that greatness and how to believe that you have the potential. And look, I've said it before, we all need a cheerleader. Curtis is my cheerleader. He has kept me going when, trust me, time and time again, I have wanted to quit. I have had doubts. I have had not a desire, because I have a desire to keep going, but something comes up and I'm like, I'm just not feeling. He's like, don't worry, man. Come on. We just need to get through this. We'll put it on. We'll do what we can, come out the best it can come out. Like, we need that for people. And Curtis is going to give you some of that on April 29th, but you're going to get to feel why you can achieve. You can, achieve greatness. So that's part of what April 29th is going to be. We're going to have some other speakers. Suzanne's going to come on and tell you more about how you can achieve and maybe even get involved in this project. That's what we're talking about, is working together. How can you become a bridge builder? I'm a bridge builder. I'm not sure if Linda's going to step forward. I know other people in our community who are going to take up this torch and become bridge builders for people to cross that into this open, wide open island of the sea of sameness, shall we say, the sea of belonging. This is, how do we get people from that outside avenue or that outside island to this island where everybody belongs?
They're feeling like they matter and they belong.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Linda, tell us a little bit about what you've got for this presentation on April 29th, Working Together.
So I really thought it'd be essential to take on some of the technical items and so really speaking to how do you write a proposal and how do you put it out there to your audience so you get that connection that drives your business. Because, a lot of us are really great coaches and teachers, but bringing together the business part of it, that's one of the hardest and challenging for most people, but it doesn't have to be. So I'm going to share why it doesn't have to be hard and how you can be equipped to go in and have really good results. And I'm not going to give away all the secrets now because I want you to come out and hear them from me specifically, but I'm going to talk about my journey in sales, my journey in writing presentations, and I'm going to give it away. I'm going to give away the lessons that I learned where I got stuck and I wanted to quit, the lessons where I scored big time and got confidence and things started to move, and the things that you have to be aware of as you're doing this. That's what I'll be going into. And that's only one thing. We're going to have some fun during a breakout networking session too. So we are building that surprise. So maybe next week we'll share a little bit about what that's going to entail, but the networking piece is going to be fun and it's going to be interactive.
Absolutely. And it's probably just a taste of what our next event in July is going to be, right? Because in July, we're going to host, I believe we're planning for a 6-hour, not a seminar, but an interactive session for collaborators, for coaches, authors, speakers, entrepreneurs, teachers, volunteers, those people who want to serve, who want to make a difference. We're going to get to know them. What are their projects? Kind of what we've been setting up here in this session is we want to get to know you. What is your project? What is your grand design? How can we help? What help do you need? We're going to get you into breakout sessions where you can brainstorm with people of like mind, maybe people who are looking for the project you're wanting to create. Look, Suzanne's project, not even a year ago, this project existed. But here she is a year later, and she's able to not only talk about her vision for this project, but outline it for people so that they can see the value in this project, but that she is already looking for those bridge builders.
Yeah,
those
the
people who are going to-
website is built and the form is already created. So come on in and put your picture up, and I'm going to start doing interviews with each of my team builders to put on to my Aspie site every Saturday so that my Aspies can see what a bridge builder is like and ask relative questions.
Awesome. And that's exactly it. So like I said, not even a year ago, this project was just an idea, right? Here it is, it's in fruition, it exists. So that's the idea by having this interactive collaborator session that we're going to host in July. And the people who show up for this event in April, this Begin Working Together event, we're going to give you a special invite to that collaborators session. So we want you to become involved. And I think we're doing everything we can to encourage action in our community. And that's the point of our community. Look, we've been delivering a message for a while because we've been trying to get your attention. We've been trying to set it up so that you would come and join us because we have a grand design on our membership that we're putting together. We have a 3-year plan to unleash our membership that, look, you want to get involved now. Trust me on that one, because you're going to get to learn what we're putting together, how it involves you, how you can benefit from it, but we're going to teach you our method so that you can go and teach other people this method.
Yeah.
It's an amazing system that we're putting together that's not only going to bring you into the personal development world, have you teaching, have you learning, but you're going to be able to benefit from it in so many ways. And if you get in now, you're going to save yourself a lot of money, because as we launch this program, as we unleash it, it's going to get more and more expensive. But by getting in now, you can lock in some cheaper prices. That's all I'm going to say about that right now. Because look, as you can tell, we're excited about it. We've been working on this. We've been preparing for it for a while. Well, here we are. We're about to launch it. And that requires some other efforts. We're going to need other people helping us. And that's a lot about what we're going to talk about on April 29th. What do we need from you? How can you become involved in what we're doing and what we're putting together? Anybody have any parting thoughts before we wrap this up today?
I do. So one of the benefits about joining us now, in addition to the reduced financial investment, is the fact that when you are on the ground foundational level and we are building year by year, you're going to be building that legacy. You'll be getting individualized attention in a small, close-knit group. And as we get bigger and we scale, then as he articulated, there's going to be some changes, because that's what happens with growth. So the best time is to get in when we have the foundational planning, get the tension on the resources, and it is definitely going to be an exchange of what I'm going to teach and what our beacons are going to teach, because we're a collaborative community where there's an exchange that happens. And, just in the short time that I've known Suzanne, her bridge building program, each time I hear about it, it's gone up another iteration. So when you join early and you're building something, then we can help you with each iteration. That's why it's so, me, a no-brainer of why you'd want to join now is because we can, I mean, why start tomorrow when you can start today?
Mhm. And I will say this, you know what, just start, right? Because whatever your project is, whatever your idea is, look, we launched this to our beacons. That's how these people became involved, was we launched our idea, our membership, our sense of belonging. We wanted you guys to get in on the ground floor, and some of you came up and you joined us, and way to go, because you guys have gotten some detailed attention. I love that. Absolutely. But we've evolved since then. We've created this program and this system that we're going to unlaunch to people over a period of 3 years. When we decided to launch our membership, this didn't exist. We've created this. We've evolved it and created these iterations that Linda's talking about. So that's the best part. When you're in on the ground floor, you can be a part of that. You can get involved. You can have your creative ideas shared and acted upon.
I was just gonna add, if you come in early, we're all looking for ways to get our voices out to the world. The more people that come on, the less time you're gonna have to share your message. I mean, I've been having a wonderful time. I've not been cut off at all because I get to share in as much of the excitement of building it. And I'm not limited because there are 55, 60 other people in here. Now, that's not to say we don't want that, because the 4 of us are wonderful. 8 of us even better. Collaboration doesn't work with one person.
Yes.
Collaboration works with multiple people. That's the same way my bridge builders is going to be. Imagine if I have only one bridge builder and 50 states in Europe. How much is that bridge builder going to do? I'm going to be expecting a lot, but you have all these bridge builders, and not everyone has to do this a lot of
Yep.
work.
Exactly.
It's sharing the load, sharing the
And
load.
yeah, and I don't know, remember, I'm going to date myself here back to the 1970s as well, but especially in the Zoom environment, I remember and I use it a lot, the analogy of the ABC commercial, where you tell 2 friends and she tells 2 friends and he tells 2, and so on and so on and so on. So we're
Right.
going to have this Zoom room with 100 people one time, right? I know that's going to happen. So get in
Yes.
now and get that, time to speak and share your message and get your voice heard. So guys, that's our show. I hope we've shown people the value of belonging to a community, of getting involved with us now, and some of the amazing initiatives that we are yet to create here in Beacon of Leadership. Thanks again for joining us. I'm going to post out the link. I'm going to post out this video tomorrow. Guys, by the way, your 30-second commercials, I've got Linda's, I've got mine ready to go. Suzanne, you said you have yours ready to go. Curtis, we need to get one from you and the other people in the community. We're going to start to post little commercials, little blurbs from our beacons about what they are putting together and why you should come see them April 29th. So exciting times ahead is all I got to say. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm RJ Horner, Beacon of Life and Leadership, and I'm joined with
Curtis Leon, Beacon of Positivity. Don't forget to ring the bell, hit subscribe, and leave a comment. It'd be awesome.
Yep.
And Linda Tilson, Beacon of Team Empowerment.
And we got joined with today
Suzanne Plumley, and I am the Beacon of Women's Enriched Aspen Lifestyle.
Oh, thank you guys. Exciting times. Thank you for being a part of it. Till next time, better days ahead.